panel coming up soon with some of my other amputee friends that I've met throughout my time on being on YouTube. So those of you that would like to, even if you want to do like a one-on-one thing and it's something that I could like, record, I have your permission to record. I'd love to hear your story, as far as like, if you want to tell it. If you want to tell it, that's awesome. If you don't, then I get it. I totally understand. You don't have to. Not everybody wants to tell it, and you totally don't have to. So, but what I want to do is like a one-on-one with me and you, or we can even do a panel with like several of us, because I know there's been several of you reach out to me and say, hey, I'm an amputee also. I don't know if anybody ever knew that or not. Well, maybe they didn't, and it would be very, very interesting to share your story and hear, what you have to say. I would certainly love to do that, and it can educate people on what kind of legs you have and what kind of, if you have an arm or, your hands or anything like that, let's show us what you got and, be proud of what you have and show off your medal, so to speak, So anybody that's part of my community that, likes to come to watch my videos and stuff, that is an amputee. I don't care if it's your finger, your arm, your toe, your leg, your whatever. I don't care. Hit me up on Instagram. My Instagram is motivated_1_legger. So it's my name with underscores. And hit me up. I'd love to set something up with you and we can talk more, before we shoot any video or anything like that. And I'll tell you the questions that I have in mind, and you tell me that if you're, comfortable answering those. And if you are, then I'd love to record it and, make a video for that and get your personal story out there. I think that would be so cool to hear, some of you guys and maybe what happened to you and what type of prosthetic do you have? What type of materials did they use to make yours, and everything, anything you want. How was your stay in the hospital? Did you go to physical therapy? Did you not? There's a ton of things that I'd love to ask and just talk to others about. And with doing that, with getting your story out there as well, it helps in aiding other people and doing what I do as far as helping other people cope with what's going on and deal with everything that's coming their way. All right, everybody. Welcome. This is the very, very first ever Spotlight on Amputee series. Something I've been wanting to do for a long time, as you guys know, and it's something that, I've really, really been looking forward to. Been looking to getting some guests on here, that kind of stuff. So today we are sitting down with our good friend yczNO. He is a beloved. He is a above the knee amputee, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his story and that kind of stuff, and tell us just what his day-to-day life is a little bit like, as far as being an amputee. And we all deal with things a little bit differently, and this is it's really no different. The way that he adapts and does things is, I'm sure, a lot similar to the way that I do things. And but we're going to find that out and let him pretty much tell his own story. So, yczNO, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. How you doing today?
Bring up our good friend Terry. So here we go. Mr. Terry, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Josh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You doing all right today?
Absolutely. Great day.
Everybody, please give a big round of applause to my friend Robin.
Hi,
Robin,
Josh.
how are you, my dear? You doing good?
I'm doing well tonight. Thank you.
Good deal today. So, without further ado, I want to bring up my friend, your friend, Mr. Chevy Triple Nickel.
How you been doing, man?
I'm good. But I want to bring up my good friend, Miss Rochelle. Rochelle,
Hi.
how are you, my friend?
Hi.
I was in a tractor accident when I was 5 years old. I was ran over by a tractor in a bush hog, and the tractor tire rolled over my abdomen, and the bush hog chopped my leg up. Yeah, that was in '93. I was 5 years old when that happened.
Wow.
Yeah. But it didn't. They didn't amputate the leg right away. They amputated it 10 years later in 2003.
And I had stepped on a bottle cap, and it turns out that the bottle cap had strep and staph on the actual bottle cap. I didn't think it was a big deal. It was a tiny little cut, so I didn't really pay much attention to it. And at the time I was married, and my wife had noticed when I got out of the shower that my foot was really red. So I called my doctor, and he said just go straight to the hospital. And when I did, they admitted me right away, and I had a pretty bad infection, and the infection had gotten into my bone, and then actually into my bloodstream.
Valentine's Day of 2019, my youngest daughter, she was 24 at the time, and I were taking a ride here in Rutherford County, Tennessee, and we were going down a back road, and I suffered my first ever epileptic seizure. And
While driving.
While driving.
While driving.
And so, but by the grace, we didn't hit anybody as we crossed the opposing lane of traffic down an embankment, and I wrapped the car around a tree doing 60 miles an hour. They only know that because that's where it was stuck, the speedometer. They life flighted me to the Level 1 Trauma Center in Nashville, Vanderbilt University, and they began the process of trying to put me back together. I had lost 21 bones were broken. My legs were both shattered. The right one was a compound break, so it was open and bleeding. And so I went into surgery immediately. They were able to, for a while, save both legs. And then I started having problems with the right one. And it got infected. And so they said, well, you know what? You need a new knee. So they put a new knee in. That did not go well.
Back to go toward what they call the feeder, which he'll dump his coat on. Then that puts it on the belt line to put it outside. But as he was pulling out, he had about a 20-degree incline that he had to climb because the coal, went down the hill so bad in that last place. He was hauling through it, so he had to climb back up that hill and turn out left-handed to go to the feeder. I turned around and I seen his wheels cut, and half of his car was out of my sight around that corner where I couldn't even see the front of the car. So I thought he was gone. I just turned back around and I started cutting more coal to fill my pan up for the next car coming. As I'm doing that, the next thing I know, I get shoved into the coal rib, which is just like a coal wall. I just get shoved. I mean, you could imagine about 11 ton just all of a sudden just hitting you and just blasting you into a wall.
Wow.
So I look down and I see the headlight of the shuttle car. And that's all I can see is the car. I can't see from my knees
or
down.
Something like that, maybe a month. I don't remember. So I was like, okay, yeah, I should probably go check on her because that thing's probably going off. I want to make sure she's okay. And so me and my boyfriend at the time, we take off running down the interstate, and I'm opening the doors. We're talking to him. I sit on the floorboard of the car with my legs out in the road with the car door open. Not the smartest idea I should have had. But a car from 3 lanes over ended up hydroplaning, doing the exact same thing my friends did, and ended up slamming the door on my leg. My left leg got amputated above the knee, basically like that day. I spent 103 days in the hospital. After about 2 weeks in the hospital, they were fighting to save my right leg. They came back and they're like, hey,
like when kids and people like that approach, not necessarily kids, but people like say a rude person is staring at you or something like that, or just simply comes up, asks the dreaded question, "What happened?" What do you deal with? Like, what do you tell them? Do you deal with it like funny, or is it just kind of fuck off, leave me alone, mind your business?
No, I never tell people to go to hell, like leave me alone about it. I always answer people when they ask, but it depends on it. It honestly depends on how they approach me about it. If they approach me about it, seriously, without being a prick, I'll tell them, what happened. But if they approach me being a prick about it, I'll tell them some little weird story. I got in a fight with an alligator or something, or I tell them my buddy chewed it off or something like that. But I mean, if it's a kid that approaches me, I mean, and like I know it happens a lot. I mean, a kid, I'll let them know what happened, and I've had situations. I was probably 21, 22. This was around the time I got married. I was walking through the store and I felt like the leg was dragging a little bit. I looked down and there's a little girl holding the leg, because I wear shorts everywhere. But there's a little girl holding the leg and she's like walking through the store with me, and her dad grabs her and he's like, "Oh, don't do that," and I told her, I said, "Man, don't be mean to her. She don't know no better. She couldn't have been 3 years old, man. You know what I mean?" But
right.
He's apologizing and shit. I'm like, "Man, don't be mad at her, dude. She's just being a kid, being curious, But dude, she was like walking and holding the leg as I walked. I was like, "Man, that's crazy."
Yeah.
Well,
that's another thing too. They don't tell you when you lose your leg and you quit drinking, you lose a lot of friends, and people don't talk about that as much. Like sometimes, well, when you think about it, your real friends will always be there, but some of the friends that kind of fall off are the ones that, where Terry can't go hiking anymore, or he can't, let's not call him for this or that. It's kind of a blow to your psyche, but I'm in a much better position now than I was back when I was like, drinking and doing all that dumb stuff anyway. But, I had to go through it, and, the friends that are still here, I love them, and I'm glad they're here, that they support me. And the ones that fell off, they fell off,
Stick with the in public, kids, stuff like that, people in general. What happened?
I love it when kids ask, because they're curious. They don't understand. And little anecdote, I was at the car repair shop one day. It was the mechanics. And there was a little boy. He was sitting across the room from me, and he just kept side-eyeing that leg, but he was afraid to speak. And I could tell he was afraid to speak. So I told him, I said, "It's okay to ask." And he goes, "Well, what happened?" And I told him, I says, "I was in a bad car wreck. My leg didn't work anymore, and the doctor had to build me a new one." I said, "Just like your car is in there getting another part because the part gave out." I says, "That's what happened to my leg."
I love that.
He seemed to understand it really well. And then I was at a gas station the other day, and a little boy, he's like, "What happened to your leg?" I don't have a problem telling him. But the parents were trying to shush him up and quiet him. And I asked him, I says, "Don't do that." I says, "He's just curious. He didn't mean to be rude."
Right.
And I love it when the kids ask. I had one ask me one time if I was an Avenger. I had another one tell me I had an Iron Man.
I am.
My kids call me the Bionic Woman. So yeah, now the questions from adults, I would rather that they ask than just stare.
Yeah.
And I've made it very clear that, hey, if you want to know, ask. I'll tell you.
Well, I woke up, in ICU, obviously, and I'd looked down. I don't know why or how, but I knew when my eyes first had opened that it was already gone. I guess I just remembered it, being stuck in the car or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I looked down to see if I could see it, and they had it, they had it all bandaged up, of course. But MOL, it was swelled up about the size of a legit NBA basketball. I mean, it was that big. From my knee up about probably 2 inches, and my whole stump was the size of a basketball. And the first thing that come to my mind, honestly, and my wife was sitting there when I woke up, I looked at her and I'll admit, I cried because I didn't know how I was going to take care of my family.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was going to do to provide. That's the first thing I asked my wife. What are we going to do, honey? What are we going to do? She said, don't worry about that right now. We'll take care of that later. But that was the first thing that came to my mind was, what are we going to do?
But before, I guess, how has this affected your life? I mean, and I'm not talking about, well, this, I can't do this, I can't do this. I'm talking about the biggest thing, the things that you truly miss. Like, I used to play baseball, or I used to whatever, I used to do this, or, what would you say is something that you just, man, I really wish, I'd give anything to go back and do fill in the blank one more time.
So, okay. I always had this running joke with my dad. He was very, very athletic back in the day. I mean, not so much anymore, obviously, because he's up there in age. But he would always come in my room every morning at 7 a.m. and say, hey, I'm going to go on a run, or hey, I'm going to go ride my bike. Do you want to come? I always told him no, because who am I getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning to go on a run? Who does that? No, not me. No. Not me. But now... But now, looking back on it, I wish I would have took him up on that opportunity a lot more, because I do miss that aspect. And I was an avid softball player. I played softball for, I think, 10 to 12 years, from basically middle school until I got my car accident. I was in a co-ed league in my town, so
okay.
I was an avid softball player, so just to be able to play softball again would be nice. Walking on a beach normally, like, without having to either be carried or struggle with the sand, I miss that. That would be nice. So, but the biggest thing would probably be not taking my dad up on those walks and bike rides that he would always ask me to go on early in the morning.
Man, oh, that hits me in the heart right there.
Yeah.
What an amazing answer. And like, absolutely, man, because I am a dad again, so that kind of stuff, and I get a lot of those kind of moments, but kind of the opposite, where I want to go places, and run after my daughter and do this and do that, and and you just can't, I can actually, like, when I'm at the playground, it's going to sound weird, but if I have my forearm crutches with me, I have a lot more fun if I just take my leg off and use my forearm crutches.
Right, like kind of like swing, Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of, I mean, if your arms and stuff can stand it, man, that's way more fun, I mean, it just is. So I recommend trying that. Just taking off the above knee and just kind of,
going for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I do that a lot. And I have a lot of parents that's kind of like, you'll see them just kind of be like, what is that dude doing? Like, oh my God, he just took his leg off. Dude. Are y'all seeing this? I don't care. I'm sure much like yourself, man, you're a shorts person, and I love that. When you sent me a picture, I was like, I need a picture just to kind of make a good, avatar of, introduce, this is Miss Rochelle, and you sent me a picture of you. And I was just like, yes, she's proud of who she is. You know what I mean? You just rock it. And that's awesome,
Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not like, good for you, but, for real though, good for you, I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I have, like, all my pants and stuff, the leg is cut off. And you can see my leg. Like, I don't wear full leg jeans. Because,
I need to do that, but like, I love clothes, and like, cutting up a pair of my pants would probably bring me to tears because
gotcha.
I love clothes, but it's also like with my BK, it's hard too because like that would just look weird, like a capri and then like shorts. I don't know. It might not. I don't know, but
yeah. Yeah.
'Cause I still have some of my leg on my right side, so I'm like, I feel like it would look weird to like if I didn't like if I still had my full right leg. Oh yeah, everything would be cut because I don't like putting stuff over this knee. It sucks. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie,
Yeah.
but
That's the same
at
way I
the
do
same time,
mine.
I'm like,
That, and to me, having jeans on a prosthetic leg, it feels like bell bottoms. It feels like
oh
the
my
whole pant
god,
leg is just like flopping around down there. And you
yeah,
try to
and
do
they're
that
so
old
heavy.
90s, like you try to do the 90s like tight roll, you know, and then you look like an idiot because
Yeah.
you got one leg rolled up. It doesn't work.
If I had to give advice to anybody that, was in my situation going through it at my age, I would have to tell them the fear is not going to outweigh the achievements that you feel afterwards. You know what I mean? Because the fear of it, going through it, dude, I was scared as hell.
100%.
But the achievements I felt afterwards, dude, is, at times it was good, at times it was bad, but the fear of it is not going to outweigh the achievements that's coming. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. That's a great way to put that. I love that. Yeah, that's awesome. That's what I try to tell everybody. It's just like, because you've had your leg amputated, your life isn't going to stop. Your bills are
Nope.
still going to come. Everything's still going to keep, there's an ebb and flow, and you're going to have to stay in that and be a part of that routine. You're going to have to just jump in that stream and stay a part of that the best you can with what we have to deal with,
Yeah.
That's
Without a doubt.
awesome, man. That is
I
awesome.
would really focus on letting myself know, hey, life is about to get extremely difficult and you need to be ready for that. I was not prepared. I went into this thing not prepared for, all the stuff that happens after you come home from the hospital and all that stuff. I wish I would have had somebody that would have said, hey man, the first time you take a shower is going to be one of the hardest things you've ever done, and I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't prepared. And it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, and I handled it the wrong way by trying to drown my sorrows and things of that nature, I just wish I would have handled it better right out of the gates. And I wish I would have had someone that could have told me that. So
Take a deep breath. You got this.
Nice. Take a deep breath. You got this. I love that. That's what I love about you. You're quick, to the point, and just like that.
Yep.
To be honest, if I knew then what I know now, that I was going to have to go through what I've been through this whole time, I wished you would have took it off above the knee, to be honest.
Really?
Really. I've had so much trouble out of this little short stunt that you would not believe at the trouble that I've had out of it. Stunt revisions, skin graft after skin graft after skin graft.
That's hard because like I'm always a very positive person, so like any situation that happens to me, I take it with a grain of salt. So like I don't ever really like I don't know, I feel like I'm just a positive person. Like I never get down on my situation or like I do, but like not all the time. But I don't know because like when I first got my legs, my prosthetist literally told me, he goes, I could give you a broomstick and a peg and you could walk on it. So I don't think that it gets easier, I guess. But I was already walking like 6 months out of the hospital, so I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that like gets easier. It's not as hard as like people make it seem. Stay
Just stay
positive.
positive.
Yeah, it's. Bye.